Oh, yeah. Five-star. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up, hey. Back and back it on up, hey. Back and back it on up, hey. Back and back it on up, hey.
Yes, oh yes, oh yes. Tigers Avenue, first episode live. Zach, I'm super excited about what we're going to be doing tonight and moving forward. This is episode number 21 of Tigers Avenue, but obviously this is our first live show ever. We are so pumped about what we got going here, and we've looked into some new things and figured out we could do this. So we were like, why not? Get the fans involved, right here with us, interacting with us. So if you're on, this is the very first time this is happening, and we're super excited about it. Zach, tell the fans about how we came about with this.
Well, it's definitely going to be a huge shout out to Blake over at AYS. We've talked to him about some things, and he encouraged us to really get on StreamYard and check it out and start doing live shows. And so that's what we're doing from now on. So no longer are we doing recorded podcasts, and no longer, thank God, I do not have to edit and stay up all night making sure everything's perfect before we release it the next morning. Going live, I don't have to worry about that. So I'm definitely pumped about that. And yeah, huge shout out to Blake for suggesting this to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And Blake will be on the show later to discuss some things with us. We're super excited about having him on as well. So we appreciate y'all joining in. Just to go ahead and kick us off right. Hey, Tigers Avenue is now on all three major platforms: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We are live on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Excuse me, not Instagram, YouTube as well. Go like our Twitter page, our Facebook page. Go follow our Instagram page. You'll see all of our updates. And on two of those there, you can see us live. If you slide over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button, you can watch us go live there as well. Look, just because we're doing this live does not mean our episodes are going away. If you're not able to watch the live show, they will be posted on all podcast platforms, whatever your choice is. So if you cannot watch it live, you can always go back and listen later. Zach, let's go ahead and get right into it. We got some basketball to talk about. The woes continue as we took the L last night against Kentucky in Rupp Arena. Give me your initial thoughts on Zach, on what you thought. Maybe a little bit of the same, but what do you think about it?
Yeah, man. The frustration of watching this team just continues because it seems like we're constantly watching the same mistakes being made over and over again.
Yeah.
And that continued against Kentucky. Against Kentucky, you saw the team get out to a really good lead in the first half. Things seemed to be going very positively. But you just kind of knew in the back of your mind that there was going to, that Kentucky was going to make a comeback. And so, and you saw that exactly happen. The same things that have plagued this team in the streak where they lost a lot of games plagued this team in the Kentucky game. They weren't able to finish at the rim. There was many layups that were missed that should have been made, easy layups that were missed. And so finishing at the rim is definitely continuing to be a problem. Holding leads is continuing to be a problem, as we saw against Kentucky, and just having creativity offensively. It seems like there's no creativity offensively. It seems like every play when they come down the court, they're bringing at the top of the key, setting a few screens, and trying to get a shot out of that. And it's either them jacking up a three or the point guard or someone trying to drive inside the paint and take a shot inside the paint. So it's very frustrating to see because the potential that this team has when they are operating in all cylinders. And so, it's definitely frustrating as an LSU fan to watch. It's frustrating as a sports fan, period, just to watch this team offensively. But you've got to get these wins here in the next few. You're going to be playing Missouri at home on Saturday. That's a must win for this team.
Absolutely.
And then you've got Alabama at home the following Saturday, and that's a must win. I don't think they're going to pull off the game against Arkansas and Fayetteville. I don't predict them to win that game, but if they go and they win the next three, it'd be a really big boost of confidence, I think, for them, especially heading into the SEC tournament, and also for their resume and seed wise.
Yeah. Look, the Kentucky loss stinks, right? But you're playing Kentucky at Kentucky. Resume wise, this is not going to hurt you. I mean, if you win that game, that's really going to help you resume wise. But if you lose this game, and really it was a close game. I mean, like you said there at the beginning, you really got off to a great start, a great shooting start too, man. Pinson had 16 points in the first half, and Darius Days started, I believe, 3 for 3, and the offense was really clicking. But look, like you said, there's no creativity. So once they figure out how to stop a few things like that and adjust accordingly, which we all know Cal Perry is a good enough coach to adjust in game, it was like dead in the water come second half. I mean, the offense has several, throughout several games, have had long periods of scoring droughts. I hate seeing the stats pop up. LSU hasn't hit a field goal in X amount of minutes, and the clock is running. I cannot stand seeing that stat every time. It really irritates the mess out of me, honestly. But look, that loss doesn't hurt you, but you're absolutely right. You got to take care of business on Saturday against Missouri. You really need to solidify your spot in the tournament. If you really slide here at the end, you don't want to wind up at an 8-9 seed, and playing the hardest spot in the tournament. Because obviously, if you land 8-9, you're going to play a team that's really on the same level as you. Yeah. And then even if you win that game, like last year, you got to go play a 1 seed, right? Like LSU last year had to play St. Bonaventure. By no means were they an easy team. And then you had to go play Michigan, the number 1 seed. And we made a game of it. Surely we did, but in the end, it wasn't enough, right? So you've really got to finish strong here and get yourself into a 7 spot. Like you said, I don't really foresee us beating Arkansas in Bud Walton. But if you can beat Bama and you can beat Missouri, maybe you get that 6 seed because you beat Bama. But if you beat Arkansas, if you win out here, you can really get that 6 seed. Right now, you're probably sitting at a 7, and even a 7's tough, right? Because if you win that game, then you're playing a 2 seed if the 2 seed wins. So you really got to finish strong and hope for the best seed possible. Right now, the name of the game is seeding. I mean, throughout the season, it's get into the tournament. LSU's resume really has established themselves as a tournament team. I mean, you got how many 5, 6 resume quad 1 wins on your resume. LSU's not going to be put out of the tournament, even if they lose all 3 games and lose the first game in the SEC tournament. They're still a tournament team. You may not like your seed, but you cannot deny LSU a tournament spot when you have 6 quad 1 wins. Something that I've been hearing a lot lately and that I 100% agree with is you have got to get Efton Reed involved in this offense. Must. He is a 7-foot-tall player, and he dominated in high school. Yes, this is different. Yes, it's the SEC. This is Division I basketball, but that dominance is within that guy. And we say, he needs to mature. He needs to grow. Well, maybe we need to help him mature and grow. Maybe you need to give him the ball more. Give him more opportunities. Because, man, it's like he comes in and gets 2 fouls, and it's like then he's sitting, and he winds up playing 12, 13 minutes, and he's not getting meaningful touches. He's not getting any sets that are coming to him. And really, we complained about his, it felt like maybe the lack of maturing. But now that I look at it more and maybe step back, maybe we're not giving him enough credit because he isn't getting the ball enough to mature, to grow. And you've got to get him involved. I mean, when you have a 7-footer on your team, that is you switch a few times, you set a few screens and get a mismatch. I mean, come on. You got a 7-footer with a mismatch of what, like a 6'5" guard or a 6'7", maybe 3 on.
Yeah.
You dish it in there and let him go to work. We've seen the sky hook, right? We've seen it happen. There's been times when he's been trapped and he can't get the ball out. And man, he's 7 foot tall. He just reaches up and slings that thing up there, and it goes in. Every now and then he'll bang it off the front iron. But dude, when you're seeing that baby hook go in like that, when he's trapped, if you get a few switches work for him, get a set going for him, and you got a mismatch, toss that thing in there to him. Let him go to work. Yeah. Let him grow. Let him learn. Let him bang around in the paint with the best of the SEC. That's how you grow. If you keep pulling him every time he gets a few fouls and you're not giving him touches or meaningful touches, then you're not helping the man out.
I do agree. I think partially, though, I mean, he is going to have to work on not fouling. Because I mean, if he's getting 2 fouls early in the game, within the under 16, within the under 8, Will Wade's got to pull him, to preserve him. And so a part of that is Efton. I do agree with you. They need to feed him and facilitate offense through him a lot more, but he does have to work on his fouling, because obviously that has been a problem for him. Just throughout this entire season, and especially through SEC play. So if he can work on that and specifically just be able to stay in the game a lot longer, I think we will be able to see him have offense facilitate him even more, because that's what this team needs. This team needs more options offensively. Not that they don't got them; they got them. They're just not using them right now, because they haven't been able to use them right now. And like you mentioned, Efton, he's shown flashes of how great he can be, and his potential. I don't think Efton has reached his full potential yet at LSU.
By no means.
So I hope we see sparks of that as we go into postseason. I would love to see that, but I agree with you 100%. I think he's got to work on his fouls though himself.
Yeah, there's no doubt. When you got that kind of length, it is, and maybe he's a little bit clumsy with it. You're going to draw a little bit more fouls, and he's got to control himself. True. I will say though, there's been some fouls I've seen him, that they're questionable, and then you got to pull him to reserve him. But my thought on it is if you're not going to give it to him in meaningful minutes, then what's the point of reserving him? Like if you say, oh, he's got 2 fouls, now I have to pull him out for 8 minutes, 8 minutes for the rest of the first half, or whatever that means, to keep him from getting 3 fouls in the first half. But then come second half, you're only going to play him 10 maybe minutes. What's the point? What's the point if you're gonna keep Tari Eason in there and Darius Days in there for the most minutes, which obviously both of those guys need plenty of minutes because they're your dudes, right? But I don't get the point of reserving him if you're not going to give him meaningful minutes. But anyways, I really like seeing Xavier Penson's play. It really feels like he is starting to feel his, like he's 100% again. When he first came back, Zach, I can't remember which game it was, but he came in and he played like 7 minutes. He was
TCU.
on a minute. TCU, yes.
Yeah.
He was on a minute restriction, played like 7 minutes in the first half, didn't play the second half at all. he was so gimpy, and it was like very obvious as to why this man had not been back in yet.
Which we know now that he had kind of forced the hand there. You know, he had gone to Will Wade and was just begging him to get into the game, and Will Wade allowed him to go and play. But you're right. It seems now that he's 100%. I mean, he put up 26 points last night, or Wednesday night.
I mean,
so
season high,
you know,
season high.
Yeah, so he's performing at a very high level right now. We hope that continues as well.
Yeah, you're seeing him make those cuts. He's really good with his hips. To create some kind of room for him to get into the paint, and the way he twists his hips, and sometimes when he hesitates, man, it really fools defenders. And you weren't seeing that at the beginning, and now you're really starting to see that. You're really starting to see him come into himself like he was at the beginning of the season. Again, look, they made a late push, Zach, and I don't know about your opinion on this, and maybe you had turned it off or not, but when LSU had got the ball back, I believe it was after the 5-second call, and it was a 4-point game, and we had the chance to cut it to 2. And Xavier went in and missed that layup. I don't know about you, but I almost came unglued because there was a lot of contact on that play. There was a ton of contact. The dude didn't smack his arm, but he drew. He bumped into Pinson pretty well, and we all know how we feel about how the refs have called LSU all year long. And earlier in the game, when Pinson fouled out, and he just kind of reached over the top of Schweeb, however you say it. How do you say his name? Toshibwe. However you say it. I think it's Toshibwe. Oscar Toshibwe. I mean, he may have not even touched him, Zach. He may have not even grazed him, and they called Tari's 5th foul. That was another major thing in that game, is the fact that it was that close, and Efton Reed and Tari Eason fouled out. Eason fouled out, I think, with like 9 minutes left in the game, Zach. Is that correct? Was it like 9.5 minutes he fouled out? And Tari Eason,
something like that.
He had 5 points. That is your biggest point
best player
on this team. He's by far your best player. And he fouled out with 9.5 minutes left in the second half and had 5 points. And it was almost a game still. It was, we almost won the darn game. If Tari Eason doesn't foul out, dude, you could have won that game, right? And I really didn't understand the decision. I couldn't remember if it was after his second foul, his third foul. Will Wade did not pull him, and it was really early in the second half, and he got his third foul. You got to pull Tari there. And he drew the 4th foul not too long after his 3rd foul. Like, when it's that early on in the game, or in the second half, excuse me, you've got to pull him there. And I really don't blame that on Tari. I really blame that on Will Wade. Because you were in the teens of minutes. I think it may have been 13 minutes left, and he drew his 3rd foul. You got to pull him and sit him. And that put him in the situation later on in the game where he had to draw his 5th foul. So you got to pull him and not put him in a situation where he can risk getting that 4th foul so early. Zach, what did you think about the biggest thing all year long has been the defense, right? Like, the defense has been incredible. How have you viewed our defense so far in this, this tougher stretch of the season where we've struggled a lot here lately? Do you think our defense has still, kept par, or do you think it's wavered some?
I definitely think it's wavered some. You can't give up 48 points in one half to Kentucky and expect to win that ball game. And we've seen here recently, we had the streak where they went for a long time without allowing any of their opponents to 60 points. you got into SEC play, and you've seen a lot more of that here recently. You can't give up the amount of points you gave up to TCU when you went and played them on the road. You can't give up the amount of points you gave up to South Carolina on the road. You can't give up the amount of points you gave up to Ole Miss when you had them at home. It's really surrounded a lot of those losses, those bad losses that we've had.
Yep.
And I honestly think that part of it has come down to the offense and the flow of the offense. I mean, when you're not having good offensive possessions, it's a lot harder for a defense to be able to get back and get set. And so I think a large part of that is on the offense. I don't want to say fully, but I do agree that they've struggled here recently, or defensively. And you hope you see them get back to normal with that, because when you get into postseason play, as you know, defense travels. And this team, when they are performing at their peak defensively, they're hard out. And they're going to be a hard out in the tournament whenever they're playing at their peak defensively. And so, I hope to see them get back to normal. I don't think it's like a major issue where it's become a huge problem and they've just completely lost everything defensively. I just think a lot of it, there's a lot of factors that have come into it. And so we'll see how the rest of the season goes for them defensively. But definitely here recently, they've taken a hit.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I think they've still played really well, considering how bad the offense has been. They've still done decent. I mean, you held Kentucky to their lowest first half points the other night. You got to capitalize on that. You really got to capitalize on that, especially with how X and Darius Day started. But 3 more games, you got to capitalize on these last 3 games, finish out strong. Man, if you make a great showing in the SEC tournament, maybe you bump up a few seeds. You maybe 1 or 2 seeds, finish strong and have a good showing in the SEC tournament. Hey, let's get to some comments here. We got some fans in here ready to interact. This is kind of why we did this, man. Bobby Watts Jr., our buddy old pal. We live, no doubt. We live, Bobby. We are definitely live. That boy Doe. Congrats, guys. Glad to see the growth in your platform. Hashtag the Spaces family. No doubt. We really appreciate all the people in the Spaces for all your continued support. What up, Ant? That's our boy. What's up, fellas? Let's see. Who else we got here?
We got Danny in here. She said, I need to adjust my camera.
Danny. Great point.
I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry. I could put it up here, but it would look like you were like looking down at me. I'm already short as it is, so I don't want to be looked down any more than I should be, than I already am. So
yeah, if you've been watching the YouTube, you know this is what his I mean, I haven't said anything to it yet. I was waiting for somebody else to say it. Like, dude, we're looking at your cheek, but we'll let the fans correct him, not me.
Just look right.
McKenna Lee, first live. Woohoo. If y'all don't know, that is my lovely bride. McKenna, thank you so much for your support. I love you very much. Pooh Bear, let's go. Let's go. Good to see you in here, Pooh Bear. Agreed. You should have pulled him then. I know. What's up, Blake? Are you serious sports? What it do, baby? Pooh Bear, hey guys, who am I? Are we going to talk about baseball? Patton, Mr. Patton. Look, we're going to talk about baseball, though. We really are. We really are. Hey, we appreciate y'all's comments. Y'all keep commenting, interacting, and we'll keep talking, man. We really appreciate y'all jumping in. All right, Zach, let's talk about baseball then. On that note, appreciate that, Pooh Bear, by the way. Let's talk about baseball. Look, LSU lost their first game on Wednesday night, Louisiana Tech. Let's not make a big deal out of this. I mean, really, Louisiana Tech is a great team. Seriously, they are. I mean, last year they were the 16th seed and hosted a regional.
Yeah.
And
should be in the tournament again this year.
Absolutely. And Taylor Young, their shortstop, is an incredible player. One of the best players in college baseball, maybe one of the best shortstops in college baseball. And he can rake. Dude can rake. And he can play defense. You went into Ruston. It was 36 degrees. It was raining. It was cold. you made a lot of errors. So let's say, let's start there. Let's not make excuses. You lost the game, right?
Yeah.
You lost the game. You made a lot of errors. You shot yourself in the foot a lot on Wednesday night. But all credit to Louisiana Tech. Cade Gibson, their starting pitcher, was outstanding. They were outstanding. He was outstanding. He really held LSU in check. And then their bullpen came in. And I thought that oh my God, Fire J. Johnson, boo boo, tomato, tomato. Yeah, LSU fans tend to overreact just a little bit sometimes. Just a little bit. I mean, you did just put up 51 runs in one weekend, so let's not overreact a little bit. But look, all credit to Louisiana Tech pitchers and their bullpen. They held LSU in check, and I believe it was the sixth, seventh inning. You committed 3 errors in 1 inning, and the game really blew open from there, and it was over. Your bats weren't as hot as they were, but you were playing a little bit better of an opponent. All due respect to Maine's pitching staff and whatnot, but Sunday's pitcher against Maine was playing a position on Friday and Saturday. So, Cade Gibson pitched an incredible game and really held. He mixed his pitches a lot and really had LSU batters guessing. And it was just not your night. It was cold, rainy. You made a lot of errors. Is what it is. So keep on rolling. They're playing right now. They're leading. They've been really dominating. Bro, Blake Money was as efficient as he was his first night against Maine. They've pulled him now, and Garrett Edwards is in. Last I saw, it was 6-0, and he had been pulled in the 7th, and he only had like 80 pitches, if that. So I really love what Blake Money's been doing lately. We hope it continues. Zach, give us your thoughts on Wednesday night's game and this series against Towson. Well, it's not really a series. It's I'm pretty sure Towson and Southern played earlier today, and Towson's playing today. So it's kind of like a 3-game.
Each team gets a doubleheader.
Yeah. So give us your thoughts.
In regards to the Louisiana Tech game, I mean, there's not much that I could say that you didn't already. I don't want to make excuses for the loss, but as you mentioned, it was tough. To go on the road and play in Ruston for your first true road game and a midweek game, your first midweek game, man, that's tough. That's tough.
No
doubt. The weather definitely played a huge factor. I think it did. But really, they kicked the ball around the field a lot, as you mentioned. The fielding was definitely an issue. That's something to monitor as we move forward. Even tonight, they've had some errors. I know Thompson had an error earlier in the game tonight, and so that's something that's going to get cleaned up. And luckily, you have a lot of time left between now and when you get into SEC play to fix those things. And that's kind of what this is with these non-conference games you're playing. They're going to tinker with the lineup. They're going to figure out who's best where. What's the best lineup offensively? And so, you're going to see LSU drop a game or two here and there that they shouldn't. But by no means is Louisiana Tech a team that did you expect to go in there and just win the ball game. It worried me whenever I knew we were playing them early on. And even, how you kind of get that feeling like early in the day when you're like, I don't know how this is going to go. Like this may not go well tonight. You just kind of get that fan feeling of, I don't know if we're going to win it. Yeah, I kind of had that feeling early on in the day, and I was like, I'm just not feeling good about this game. There was so much hype, and scoring the 51 points in the weekend series, just so much positivity and so much hype. All right, I don't want to be negative, but it just felt like something wasn't going to go right, and unfortunately, it went that way with them falling to Louisiana Tech. But as you said, don't overreact, don't freak out. Pooh Bear was in there saying, fire Jay Johnson is fun, throw a tomato at them. Don't have that overreaction.
Yeah.
But, something to monitor as we move forward with the field.
We talked about this with AD, on our last episode. we told y'all straight up, like, baseball is not really Power 5, Group of 5. If we're gonna lose a midweek game, might as well keep Paul. Hey, Paul went undefeated last year in midweek games, so you better watch yourself. Look, we talked about this though. Louisiana Tech is a Power 5 type of team when it comes to baseball. I mean, it's just dude. Mississippi State lost last week in Long Beach State, and they dropped their game today. Their first game today. Who was it? To Northern Kentucky or Western Kentucky or something like that. And I mean, they are 2-3 on the season. Now that there may be some things to worry about when it comes to state. But my point is baseball is different, dude. It's really not like that. Like anybody can lose any given day when it comes to baseball. And if you want a comparison, I went back and looked at the 2017 season, the team that, went to the finals. And if we want to get into it a lot, really was probably a better team than Florida that they lost to. Had you not lost Eric Walker, against Oregon State when he hurt his elbow, your pitching rotation's probably in normal, and you probably win that series and are the national champions. Anyways, you look to the beginning of that season, LSU dropped 2 games to New Orleans in midweeks and to Tulane. You dropped early on. They lost to Tulane and 2 to New Orleans, and then that turned into be a season, where you were in the finals, right? So, man, don't make too much about this because they are a great team, and honestly, Louisiana Tech. I haven't looked at all the rankings. There's there's 6 different polls, I think, Zach. There's Perfect Game, D1 Baseball, Baseball America, Collegiate Baseball, Baseball Writers, all of that. But they may be ranked in one of those, but they should be ranked. They are a very good team. But don't make too much about it. We'll see as we continue to roll. What I want to see this weekend, Zach, and we can talk about that as well. And then I have one more thing, baseball. I want to talk about maybe some specific players after we hit on this. Is I want to see. I really want to. I'm hoping our offense won't explode when it comes to to Saturday and Sunday, because I want to see Mikael Hilliard and Ty Floyd really get into a game and pitch, because like we talked about last episode, Ty Floyd
work around batters.
Yeah. I mean, Ty Floyd was really just trying to get outs, and he was throwing nothing but fastballs. So I want to see, really what they can do, if they can extend, I mean, obviously right now, Blake Money seems like your bell cow. I mean, he's going to be your guy who's going to go long. He went 7 innings tonight and probably could have completed the game in all reality. But, what are your thoughts on something you want to see as we continue towards conference play? Well, I mean, really, as we continue towards, next weekend, when we have a big deal going on at the Shriners Classic, and Tech is ranked 15th. Okay, so there you go. At the Shriners Classic in Houston. So, I mean, those are big games next week. You got Oklahoma, Texas, the number 1 team in the country, and Baylor, who just beat a ranked team today. I can't remember who it was, but I was looking at it earlier. Yeah. But those are big games. What do you want to see as we move towards next weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a huge test for this baseball team next weekend. And a lot of what I said earlier, I want to see this team do better fielding wise. And I want to see the pitchers work around, jams. I want to see them have to get out of a bases loaded, 2 on, 0 outs, 2 on, 1 outs, whatever the situation. I want to see how this pitching staff handles adversity, because we knew coming into the season that the pitching staff was probably going to be your weakness for the season. And so I want to see how they perform whenever they are faced with that adversity. And as you said, last weekend against Maine, you didn't really have to worry about that as much with the points that they were putting up and all the runs that they were scoring. And so, I hope to see some of that this weekend, especially in preparing for next weekend when you face those big time opponents. But really, the fielding's just got to get cleaned up. It's been a problem the last
Yep.
couple of games,
Yep.
and I think if they're able to take care of those things, and we're able to see the pitchers work around some things here this weekend, it'll definitely bode well for them next weekend.
Yeah, no question. One guy I want to talk about specifically is Braden Jobert. That dude is for real. I mean, we had him. I mean, anytime we talked about lineups or who was going to hit DH or right field, I mean, we were saying Jobert, and I thought he was going to come out and be a really solid DH, but so far he's been incredible. And if he keeps hitting like this, I don't know where Beloso's going to play once he gets healthy. I mean, Beloso may have really improved his swing, like everybody said. I mean, he got the nod on opening night, and he may have improved his swing and gotten a lot better. But why would you pull Jobert if he's going to continue to hit like this? Dude is raking. I mean, he was really the bright spot against Louisiana Tech because he was the one who first got us on the board and got us
kind of brought us back in that game.
So yeah absolutely. But that has really, really, impressed me so far with his play because, I mean, you're stepping up and, in the way he's kind of stepped up in his game, starting at Nichols and then going to Delgado and now LSU. He's been pretty impressive so far. So I see a bunch of comments in here. We got to get to them. Bring up, that's the comment I wanted to see. Trey Morgan hasn't been as sharp as he was last year. Still early, but he's dropped more throws than any point last year. Look, I will say, he has, and we're used to seeing Trey Morgan like pick balls, and we're used to seeing him make incredible plays, and he's going to continue to do that. I don't think that he's going to not make incredible plays at first base because he's probably the best first baseman in all of college baseball. He is, in my opinion. But look, the balls he's been dropping have been balls that have short hopped him, and a lot of them were from K. Doty trying to relay the double play to him, and he short hopped a lot of them, and they're tough plays for Trey. Blake said the other night he got to see Trey Morgan come off the bag some more, and I got to agree with him. There's some of them he can probably make, but at some point you got to start saving bases because you don't want to, make a mistake turn into another mistake and then it just kind of pile on you. Because if you do that in SEC play, it's really going to hurt you. Carl Dunn, next week it gets real, no question, man. That Saturday game against Texas is going to be a true test without a shadow of a doubt. All right, let's see here. What else we got? Bring back midweek wins. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of midweek wins.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Danny Girl, I agree. Pooh Bear, Trey doesn't seem as on point as last season. Hoping he will heat up as we progress. Danny, I'm assuming is your name. He I think he'll straighten out. And look, you may see if the struggles continue on the infield, maybe Jay Johnson moves some things around. I mean, K. Doty really played a great third baseman last year, and maybe you put him back over there, and it's a little bit more natural to him. My TA fam, what up, man? Our man AD
is in the house.
Up? That's our man right there. Came on the episode last week. If you haven't got to see that yet, go back and check that out. Hey, Zach, let's do a little break here, and let's talk about Mr. 5-Star Hero. 5-Star Hero is the artist who does our intro, that jamming song out. That with our awesome picture with our bellies out. That's the song that's playing in the background. 5-Star Hero out of New Orleans. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check him out. Look, he's got merchandise. He's got music on all the major platforms. 5-Star Hero. Go check him out. And also, make sure to go check out our website as well. Not only do we have all of our social media platforms up, we have our website on the main page there. You can see and scroll down and see all of our episodes from previous podcasts. we have this fun little thing called Tiger Times where you can get a blast from the past with LSU, with Reagan and Zach, and see all their LSU experiences. Also, we have a support page with our PayPal and our Cash App. So if you want to go support us, go check out our website. If you want to go see some awesome pictures from when we went and watched the Tigers play in person, go check that out as well. Again, you can get us on all of major podcast platforms on our former episodes, and go like, follow, and subscribe to all of our pages. What's up, Blake?
What's happening, guys?
We're super glad.
What it do?
Yeah, man, we're super glad to have you in. We appreciate you joining in.
No problem, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. So let's move from the diamond, guys, and Blake. This has been a hot topic, man. A hot topic for you. Somewhat of a controversial topic as well, as crazy as that seems. BK introduces with a press conference his offensive and defensive staff on Wednesday and Thursday. Blake, give us your initial thoughts on what you heard from Brian Kelly and what you heard from the assistants. Maybe what stuck out to you the most.
I would say competence. I would say attention to detail. I've heard a lot of people ask if Brian Kelly took shots at Ed Orgeron, for an example, on his opening comments in reference to the defense not playing one specific defense. The reason he makes that comment is because he watches the film from last season. He watches the film from 2020. And the reason he talks about that is because he's like, look, I have a guy that might be a third or fourth round pick in Neil Farrell, the defensive line, and he doesn't come on until Durante Jones puts him in better positions. So yeah. I think it's that specific attention to detail. I think that you have a guy that's an X and O's guys and a guy that could be a motivator as your head coach. I really don't care, what people say about him, the dancing and all this kind of stuff. Let him go out there, let him win games, forget the press conference. Let him do it when he wants to do it, because, guys, for the first time since 1999, 60 new members have been hired on LSU's football or at LSU football ops. So when you talk about having 200 interviews, when you talk about having 60 new employees that you quite honestly don't really know all of their names. Brian Kelly made an interesting point that I didn't even really know who Frank Wilson was until I got to know him. So you want that man to run out to a press conference and say something. I think that we got some to add to this. I think we got some clarifications on some things. Somebody that I kind of been hitting around, Garrett Dellinger moving to center, I think is a big deal. We'll continue to monitor the quarterback position in Miles Brennan. But look, it's a work in progress. We'll get out to spring, but I think that, and here's something that's small and talking about small details. What's the man coming up there in a suit for? A nice button-down shirt, nice slacks, and a coat. Like, you don't see that often, and he's taking it professionally.
Absolutely.
So, if you're coming at me like that, okay, so now you're telling me it's ready to play. So we're paying you $10 million. Oh, so you're going to treat it like you're $10 million. I don't know if you guys watched the TV series Billions, but it kind of feels like to me he just walked out of an episode of Billions or an episode of Suits. Like, dang, dude, that's the lead attorney for Suits. So I like what I see. I like what I hear. A lot of things were just more confirmed that we already knew. I like both coordinators' hires, and look, the last thing, you got a winner at all position groups. Guys that have won national championships, literally outside of Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly, the only two have not gotten to that feat yet. So you got winners all across the board.
Absolutely. Hey, Zach, throw up Danny's comment, her latest comment. He's so professional that they don't catch his jokes. That is one of the I thought that was one of the funniest things about the press conference. Right. Is I think LSU media, and Blake, you can relate to this maybe a little bit more than we can, obviously, because you've been there, you've done that. But they're used to Les Miles and Ed Orgeron type of characters that, like, they expect, some kind of incompetency, some kind of joke, some kind of outlandish, crazy thing. And then Brian Kelly comes in and it's like boom, 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 real professional. Like they almost feel like they can't laugh at a joke. And Brian Kelly's like, man, tough crowd. I thought that was one of the funniest things about the whole press conference.
Well, I think
they weren't even expecting it.
Well, guys, I think it told me everything I need to know about the reason of why they attacked him in the first place. The man comes out there and makes a joke about the key card. He's going up to football ops and he's swiping his damn key card down, and he can't get into the building. He got into the building. He was there. He was waiting. He was on the phone call. That I don't know if that really happened. He came in there trying to make a joke, okay? Yeah. And then he makes another joke, and they don't laugh. They don't see his humor. And, I don't really know. I think sometimes we take things too seriously. Like the man made a joke, laugh at it. Laugh at it. I mean, it might be corny as hell. It might be another dad joke. Who gives a dang? Like that's the kind of stuff that we talk about. And I think my opinion is LSU fans and LSU media, we have to adjust. We're talking about the National Signing Day thing. We're talking about, he didn't come out here and talk for National Signing Day. And then all of a sudden they don't ask him one question about his philosophy on why he thought Harold Perkins would be a good outside linebacker. Well, then ask him the damn question then. If you're going to moan and complain, then go out there and ask him the question. That's the kind of stuff that irritates me. Like, I must have grown up I grew up in a small country town with a small country feel and came to a bigger city. And so maybe those background roots got me to a point where, hey, man, if you're going to say something, you better come talk to me about it. And I don't mean that in a wrong way, but it seems as if we take things, just ask him the question. You had 7 weeks to find a great question. You didn't ask any. Like you didn't ask. Hey, guys, Brian, what's your philosophy on 3rd and 4? What's your philosophy on 3rd and 4? I saw in the Stanford game that you threw the ball 25 times in the first half. You went for it 3 times on 4th down. It was crazy because you ran stick routes. What was the philosophy? You're running the ball very effectively. Why are you throwing the ball in that situation? Boom, that's a good question. Brian, have you eaten a Cajun turkey roll at like, I don't care if the man's eating Cajun turkey. That's not a part of, it's not a part of, what he's here for. You wanted him, you got him. Don't ask him about the sushi rolls and do you dust your crawfish? Do you even know what crawfish is? It's those kinds of things that irritate me.
And that definitely kind of played into is he going to fit into the culture type of thing? Like those questions definitely came from that. Instead of football questions, you got those type of questions. Is this guy going to recruit Louisiana? Is he going to be able to fit into Louisiana? And I understand your point completely there. Zach, what are your thoughts on the press conference? What did you get from it? What did you like?
Zach, I like seeing your face. Leave it up like here, man. I love seeing the side of your jaw. Leave it up. Call us the triple B. Lamar Ball here. Call us the triple B. The three-pronged approach here.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean, in regards to the press conferences, what I really liked is you heard them mention a lot that they were going to fit their scheme to their personnel. And I think there was problems with that in the last regime. I mean, Ed O was so set on, we're going to run the 2019 offense. Well, maybe the 2019 offense wasn't the best offense for the guys that you had in the locker room, right? We're going to run a 4-3 defense. He was so set on running a 4-3 defense. And so you get Dave Aranda out of there and you lose guys like Apua Ika, who were better for a 3-4. And, I think what I really like about this staff is they're very set on making sure that they use their locker room and the guys that they have on this team to the best of their abilities. And I think you're going to see them surround their offensive and defensive schemes around the guys that they have. And that really impressed me. You like to hear things like that. What really just impressed me is the experience and just the intelligence of these guys when you hear them talk. Hearing Joe Sloan talk, hearing Jamar Kane, hearing Robert Steeples. I went and listened to those guys' interviews.
Very impressive.
And they're just there's very impressive. And it really feels like from the top down, from the head coach all the way down into the analysts, you just have professionalism. And you didn't have a lot of that in the last regime. I'm not saying that a lot of the guys in the last regime weren't that way, but my phone's going
That's
off.
why you don't put Alexas in your house. That's why.
I know it.
Why
I know
you don't put Alexas in your house. You know everything going on in the world. You know you got to go brass that Alexa in. Just throwing that out there.
She just wanted to talk to me. She wanted to make a comment on her thoughts on the press conference. But anyways, so yeah, so it was really impressive. You know, Joe Sloan, his interview, one of the things that stood out to me is he said, I think they asked, you know, what are you most impressed about with BK? And he said communication. That BK is an excellent communicator.
You mean he's talking to his assistant coaches?
Yeah, shocker, Mike.
Oh,
wow,
bro, no way.
Wow,
Bro, he hired a guy and he talks to him?
Yes, he does. Apparently he's excellent at the communication per Joe Sloan. So, you know, I found that really interesting. The media didn't think so, but, you know, apparently his assistants think so. Well, so, guys, you know, I mean, top down, bottom.
Listen to me. It's your 21st episode, correct?
Yeah,
correct.
Okay. You're officially a part of the media. Okay. Once you get over the hard 20, okay, you're part of anytime you fire up a camera and you talk about something and you got listeners, always treat it like you are one, you know? So, you know, I think it's interesting because look, guys, you might have somebody in this space and not literal Twitter space, but you might have somebody in this platform or that will listen to you and be like, damn, man, those guys were right. And so I think in our new age, media is not media anymore. Just because you don't have an SEC credential, you don't get the SEC emails today about SEC media days or whatever, doesn't mean anything because you're a part of an overlined narrative. And I'm serious about that because look, I thought I was stupid in the first 20 videos I did. And then that boy though, Tony Weaver was in there doing, bro, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about. Well, no crap, because look, I've known this guy my entire life. He's calling plays at LSU. What do you think? I mean, where do you think it's coming from? I mean, we'll let it loose now, but I mean, so just giving y'all credit where credit's due. If you fire up that camera and you start talking, people listening, you got to give yourselves credit, bro.
Absolutely.
Sure. And you know, another thing I noticed, you mentioned it, Reagan, is just like when BK came in there and he was making jokes, like, I don't know what y'all, but I laughed. Like I was able to actually, you know, understand the joke and laugh. And you know, you didn't see that with the media. And so, you know, you found that was confusing to me and frustrating as well. And so, you know, I hope that changes moving forward. But I like that he's trying to take things lightly because, you know, the narrative behind BK coming into to this job, you know, is he's very stern, he's very hard, you know, he's very buttoned up, and you know, you like him coming in and trying to loosen things up and be joking. You know, and I hope we continue to see that from him. I hope, you know, the media's reaction to him trying to give those jokes, you know, doesn't keep him from wanting to do that anymore. But, you know, those are some things I noticed that what impressed me the most is for sure, just from top down, the professionalism.
Well, let me ask you this. What do we really know about Brian Kelly other than a narrative that's around him? Like, no,
exactly.
Serious question. Like, meaning you see him blowing up on the sidelines, but you also see Saban blowing up on the sidelines, right? Like,
yep.
And then you see, like, look, I am at least personally, I'm like a fiend for watching very intelligent people who are smarter than I am and watching them talk and listen to them speak, right? And like when I do that, at least I want to find out what do they know that I don't? Okay, what do they know that I don't? And, you know, when you hear the former players of Saban and Belichick, they were like, yeah, Belichick never opened up to us, but he'd come in the locker room. If I needed something, he'd be there, right? And so I think that we don't really know him, and we haven't got a chance to know him. So we'll see.
I mean, he's only been here like a few months, you know?
Right. Yeah. Hey, there on your little thing there's a number 3. It's kind of got like a wide zoom. Click that wide zoom.
Right here.
Oh, it didn't do that, huh?
There's
There
like
it
this
is.
one.
There
There
it
we
is.
go.
Yeah, there we go.
There it is.
We figured it
You
out.
would,
Hey,
you
Zach.
would, you would think we're 417 episodes in.
Yo, Blake, we should have had you just have us run a tutorial through this
There
StreamYard,
you
but
go.
yeah, we love it. We love
Right.
it.
Zach,
Right.
I think you need to throw up some comments there. You're getting some flack.
I know.
Zach
I
think
see.
he pretty. You have to face the camera to be media. Hashtag
Okay,
Zach.
there we go. Is that good? Is that good,
Where's
Danny?
the one more? There it is. And Zach Efron know his LSU sports. The best comment of the night.
Oh my god!
Best comment of the night. Appreciate y'all continuing to
Don't
comment.
be surprised if you see my camera is
AD
positioned
said
above
we're
my
a Cajun boy band.
Cajun boy, man.
Cajun boy band.
Make Zach Efron
Nah.
pretty again. You're the Bayou Zach Efron. How about that?
Look, we look.
Oh my gosh!
So here were my thoughts on the press conference. So what frustrated me the most, and I'll go there back with Ed O'Dron. What frustrated me so much about him is, hey, Joe Brady, who should I hire?
No doubt.
Who should I hire? Oh, you should go hire DJ Mangus and Jake Peets. Done. Dave Aranda, who should I go hire? You should go hire Durante Jones. All right, go hire him. I mean, no vision, no purpose. Just, oh, these guys worked out for me. Let me pick up the phone and figure out, what do I need to go do next? Instead of being a competent coach and understanding this is what I need. This is the type of guy I have to go get. And with Brian Kelly, there was purpose, there was vision, and he gave you the reasons. He gave you, number one, he told you he wanted connections to the state of Louisiana, and boy, did he get it. Cortez Hankton, Frank Wilson, Joe Sloan, and he also told you he wanted experience. You got Den Brock, you got Polian, you got Matt House,
right.
And he also told you he wanted winners. Cortez Hankton just won a national championship with Georgia and just signed to LSU for the exact same position. Matt House has won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. So Frank Wilson has been was at LSU when there was plenty of wins going on. So you have winners, you have experience, and you have connections to the state of Louisiana. All three reasons he gave you for hiring his staff is the very guys he went and hired for his staff. There was vision and there was purpose.
Well, and I think to add to your point there, Reagan, is this. He said this exact same thing that Ed Orgeron did, but in a better way. Let me explain. He said that, well, hey, Coach, because there was a good question, I think, by Brody Miller of The Athletic. And Brody asked him, well, if you didn't know these guys, how did you come to hire them? And he said, well, look, coaches in this business. You pick up the phone, maybe they can't come, but then they say, hey, this guy's looking for a new opportunity. You call them, then you interview them. But see, here's the difference, though. You didn't know that until the question was asked. What you got from Orgeron is when he walked out to the podium, I just called Joe Brady, and Joe Brady said he was coming. So they said the same exact things, but in a completely different way, that where you thought, I don't know if we can curse on this platform, but it will shoot. I almost slipped up there. And Reagan, you're a pastor, so I got to be careful. It's late night on a Friday night in Louisiana, so I got to be careful. So, but it's a completely different way, though, Reagan, right? Like it's a completely different avenue of how he went about it, but it made you understand why. Well, like, hey, the reason I hired, like what he said about Frank Wilson gave me chills. Hey, y'all got to stop saying he's a great recruiter. Stop saying he's a good recruiter, because basically what he's telling you without saying these exact words are, hey, I broke down film with Frank Wilson over the last 7 weeks. Go ahead and shut up. Like, go ahead and shut up. He's a better on-the-field coach than any of you in here give him credit for. Just because he's the National Recruiter of the Year does not mean that he's not a good coach. Guys, newsflash, to be a good recruiter, you got to be a damn good coach. And so at least know and to be able to sell a vision. And if you can sell a vision in a living room, you mean to tell me you can't sell why this guy needs to run the ball on 3rd and 2 or pick up a block on 3rd and 7, or why Clyde Edwards-Helaire needs to be motioned in on 3rd and 17 when we normally run the football and go hit a blitzing linebacker in the face. So Joe Burrow hits Justin Jefferson, and then Matthew McConaughey's in the corner and he's crying, oh my God, Texas is back, So, but Reagan, I think you probably made the best point on this. That was a big thing. That wrapped up the Ed Orgeron versus Brian Kelly narrative, right? Like that wrapped it up.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I liked is you understood this is what I was trying to accomplish. Now here they are. And this is how they are tied into my vision, my plan, my purpose. And that ties in, I think, to all of what y'all said, professionalism, and the narrative, like y'all talked about with BK. Look, I'm super impressed with Brian Kelly. You are you are getting almost the complete opposite of what you just had, like 180, 100%. And I wanted to ask you this, Blake, and maybe you've mentioned this on one of your shows or whatnot. Like you're saying there are 60 new hires, and obviously that includes football ops and all of that. Is this is this a complete gut? Like, is this a gutting and a layering of a new foundation? Like, is it a complete teardown?
Well, since you boys are from Memphis and my mother-in-law lives in Collierville, I'm going to give you an expression that I know that you boys will know.
Okay.
It's like slaughtering the pig, and you putting the seasoning on it, and now all you got to do is start putting that rotisserie on it. Start put the apple in the mouth and start doing the rotisserie. You can put the barbecue sauce on it a little bit, but yes, it's a complete gutting. Look, you've had individuals here. I'm not calling for. I am not going to call for someone that's off the field or not. And I hate to say off the field because there can be recruiting analysts too. So I want to be specific. When I talk about in this scenario, off the field personnel, I'm talking about people that never recruit, never do anything. They're setting up recruiting things, whatever. Like just the main personnel. When you have personnel there for that long, it's never a good thing. That's why you see Saban rolling people in and out. What's interesting? The only person that has been with Saban for that long is like a handful of people, right? His recruiting analyst that he brought over from LSU and his secretary, right? And there's a few other ones. So the woman that runs his life and the guy that he trusts the most on planet Earth outside of probably his wife, I would assume, are the only two people that stay around him. Scott Cochran, who was his longtime strength coach, he said, "You want to go with Kirby? Bye-bye. We'll see you after winning a national title." So if the greatest coach of all time is doing it, then why aren't we? Something that's key to me too, and when you talk about trimming the fat, sometimes when you trim, guys, I'm 287 pounds. I gained 4 pounds this week. It's not a good thing. King cake season, whatever. But under all this fat is abs, right? We all know that. You still got abdomen muscles under there. Here's the thing when happens when you trim fat and you start working out and doing things the right way. Those abs start showing, right? So when we talk about off the field coaches and the analysts, guys, they've been Power 5 defensive coordinators on the defensive side. They've been head coaches on the offensive side. So where the guy, and I don't mean this in a wrong way, I played with a lot of the analysts that were on the staff last season. With all due respect to them, and they know this because I've picked up this phone and told it to their face, you have no business being Ed Orgeron's right-hand offensive assistant. You've never called plays in the SEC, and I expect that it would hit home for people when you realize that you have two Power 5 coordinators that are just analysts. Hey, what happens if Matt House gets a new head coaching job? Oh, well, hell, we got a former SEC defensive coordinator that's right here in Josh Janik. So I think that those are the differences that you see in these type of situations, right? And, I like it, and I like the off-the-field personnel and staff. I mean, and here's another thing. In college athletics, when there's a lot of money rolling around, and I don't mean this in any kind of a way, okay, you have situations like happened at Auburn. You have situations that LSU deals with right now, what they're being sued with. You have a lot of big personalities in one room making a lot of money. and sometimes there's a power struggle. So for that alone, it's a complete trimming of fat. Look, it takes one phone call, guys. It takes one phone call that says, hey, why isn't Brian Kelly doing a press conference? Well, the last thing I know, he just did 17 interviews today, and he's sleeping on his couch in his office because he was watching film. So when I made that phone call 5 weeks ago, that's all I needed to know. It's absolutely everything that I needed to know. So with that being said alone, and look, you have a situation where Brian Kelly is enriched in South Bend, Indiana. He's building, guys, he was building literally the biggest house, he said, of his lifetime. By the way, you look into the man's family too. His wife runs a multi-million-dollar nonprofit for cancer. So people come in, they donate money. She's got to pick up everything she's doing too. Hey guys, I want a little bit of a news flash. It's one thing for a head coach to pick up his life and move and leave. What happens when you pick up and leave and move when you're moving millions of dollars?
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of mad people. We don't think about that. We're so self-centered in our lives and our livelihood. We always look at us, and we don't see the forest through the trees. So I think personally, no matter what Brian Kelly does on the field, listen to me, I want him to win. He's got to win. The best thing that could have ever happened to LSU is that the fat was trimmed. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Absolutely. Look, I'm super excited about what's to come. I'm pumped to watch spring football and how that all unfolds. So far, I'm super impressed. And people keep asking, well, why hasn't there been a press conference about the recruiting class? Well, maybe it's not quite finished yet. So hold your seats, and we'll see whenever it comes. I think after these few press conferences, you have a brain enough now to understand why, maybe it's good to wait, why it's, why he takes his time, so he can then come out and say, here it is. And boy, did he ever lay it out for this staff. And what an impressive staff, really.
By the way, where'd you get that hat?
This hat?
Mm-hmm.
It was on Fanatics. It was either Fanatics or Lids.
I'll arm wrestle you for the hat.
Look, I looked for this hat. I saw this hat I went to Baton Rouge and watched the baseball game and saw this hat. They were selling it at the stadium. I don't know why, but I didn't buy one. But since that day, I'd regretted not buying one, and I looked for it for a very long time, and I finally found it. I think that was 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and I found it this year, and I bought it as soon as I found it.
I love it.
It's on Lids, I believe.
Let me ask y'all a question.
Fanatics. Excuse me.
Let me ask y'all a question about this very quickly. When you see, and I don't know how much of a deep dive y'all have done into this, when you guys see what he's done from a personnel standpoint and what he's brought in, what's y'all's first reaction? Because look, everybody tells me that, Brian Kelly used to run 2 and 3 tight ends, but guys, they can't do that. So I guess when y'all look at the personnel as an example, what do y'all think?
Well, for me, I think it goes back to what they were saying at what a lot of them were saying at the beginning of the press conferences, is that we are going to scheme around the players that we have. I don't think he brings in personnel that isn't going to fit with the players that he has.
Right.
That wouldn't make sense. And so, I think he went out and got guys that he knows is going to make a great impact on the players that are there right now and the players that they know that they're going to be bringing in. And so, that's what stood out to me the most. And then, like we've said 100 times, just the experience, from top to bottom. It doesn't matter whether it's a coordinator or whether it's an analyst. These guys have elite experience. And like you mentioned, if one goes and leaves and takes a head coaching position somewhere else, we got this guy right here that can just can step up and take on that role. And so it seems like what he has done is he has assembled a staff that is going to stabilize him for the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Levels. I just got a text, Zach, right before I asked y'all that question for a person that does not want to be named. They want to know if that's a Snuggie behind you because they want it.
On my bed? Right here?
Yeah, on your bed. They think it's
Oh,
a
no,
snuggie.
no.
It's a snuggie.
This is our balcony Bengals right here.
I
I
love
think
it.
they're talking.
I think they're talking
They're talking
about
about the blanket.
yeah, they're talking about the
Oh, yeah,
blanket.
that's just a big old blanket. Yeah, that's just a big old blanket.
I love it, dude.
Look.
People will say things, but I do agree with you wholeheartedly, Zach. Right? That they just want to go after athletes. They just want to go after dudes that can ball. You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
You hear guys all the time. They talk about like, hey, I'm just going to go get guys that can play, and then we'll figure out all the rest of the stuff out. Like we know we got to get the numbers in. We know we got to get offensive line, defensive line, running backs, corners, safeties. You know, even a quarterback. And you know what's interesting too, for me from a personnel standpoint. And I was saving this for tomorrow morning, but you guys got lucky. Okay, we're going to stay here.
We'll be on there.
What's interesting to me, you know, the first move Brian Kelly made from a personnel standpoint was going to get Miles Brennan, which I know that I feel that they might do some other things, but the first thing that he addressed was quarterback. And, you know, I often sit here and think to myself, like, if we were in the situation and Ed Orgeron didn't leave, what would have been his first move? You know, like, well, we're going to let these two guys go through spring, and then we'll hit the portal hard. And I'm thinking, like, no, the first call he made was to a guy that might have not had a lot of options. Like, hey, man, you got to come and compete, but you need to come back here. And he does. And look, we'll see what happens after spring, but I just thought it was really interesting too.
And, you know, I mentioned, Blake, that I think they've set themselves up for a sustained future with the guys that they brought in. Obviously, you're going to lose some of those guys. Obviously, some of those guys are going to go and take on better jobs. But I think with the team that he's brought in, that won't matter, that you're going to lose those guys to better jobs. You're still going to be able to have your foundation that Brian Kelly has built.
Well, he is your foundation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you know, Ed was never your foundation. The foundation was everybody around Ed. When you build a foundation based off these beams that are in my house, that's not your foundation. We all know how good business and good life and good structure is always built. It's built from a foundation. Hey, guess what? You can't, you know, the epic Brian Kelly game where his offense is struggling at Notre Dame, and you know they're one win away from getting to a New Year's Six bowl or New Year's Six game, getting into the BCS. Offense isn't doing well. One of his bad offensive coordinators, and he gets a play call, doesn't walks out at halftime, didn't have a play call the entire first half. I think I want to say the game was against USC. I can't remember the game. He comes out with his big old play sheet and he starts calling plays. Right? Like that, I think that's the thing to me, like, hey man, you're struggling, you can't get over the hump, something's wrong, something's up. And you got a guy that can maneuver either which way, and for that reason alone, it's why I love it so much. And look, never mind. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet on that. I'm gonna be quiet.
Look, I don't know. I feel like there were some fans that were a little underwhelmed with the hire. Maybe that had to do with a lot of the Lincoln Riley jargon that was happening, and there was definitely some stuff I feel like that was there with Lincoln Riley, obviously, but I feel like there was an underwhelm. You know, like, oh, we got our second choice, right? That was our second choice, and maybe it was, but you still got Brian Kelly, who, like you were just talking about, you know, they didn't have a play or whatever, and he took the play sheet and he's calling plays. Like, you have a guy who's willing to be like, all right, this ain't working. I'm taking control, and a guy who has purpose, and a guy who has vision and a plan, and how to develop players. And I feel like that's something that's been lacking majorly in LSU lately. And the development of players is one of the most excited things I'm about. What does it matter if you sign every single 5-star? What if you go sign a 3-star and you develop him into a 5-star type of talent?
Well, you know,
you're that type of coach.
Something's interesting. We talked about this Thursday night on the show. Let me get the notes. So of the show we talked about Wednesday, over the last 10 years, 111 players in the state of Louisiana have left the state or gone to other programs and made it to the NFL. Majority of those kids were not 4 or 5 stars. Some of them, I would say probably 40% of them were 3 stars. So let me ask you this question. Why are you letting that kid leave the state or go elsewhere when he's playing in the NFL? So maybe they're not big-time stars. Maybe they're not the Justin Jeffersons. Maybe they're not this person, that person. Yeah. But the last time I checked, you have guys from ULL. Somebody help me in the comments. The running back for San Francisco, who's
Eli Mitchell.
Eli Mitchell. So Eli Mitchell, what's going on with that kid?
Yep.
You know, like when you have legitimately 11 players per recruiting class from your state going into the NFL, into the NFL, what are you worried about the guy that's going to transfer in 2 seasons? I think that was a thing for me that was really jarring. And here's another thing, Reagan and Zach, to the point about Brian Kelly being analytical. That was how he's using analytics in recruiting. What do you think he's going to do when he's on the field on 4th and 3 on the own 20? Yeah, I mean, look, and you're struggling in the kicking game. So, I'm with you, Reagan, too, in the sense of that, underwhelming. There's nothing underwhelming about hiring Brian Kelly. There's nothing underwhelming about it. Let fans sell what they want. We had fans in my DMs and on my comments Monday morning or Monday night saying Thursday night, fire Jay Johnson.
Get out.
No, like legitimately get out.
Yeah.
I mean, like, fire Jay Johnson. He's too short. That was one of the comments.
It's his 4th game. It's his 4th game.
They said that we should fire him because he's too short. That was the comment.
Well, shoot, take me off podcasting then, because I'm 5'7". So.
Actually, taller people are the ones that they say to be fired during podcasting. It's the shorter people like Greenberg that have the most success. So
another player,
maybe that's good for us.
Another player who wasn't the big name guy who came out of Louisiana, who came from Rummel, is Logan Diggs, who was playing for Brian Kelly this past year.
No doubt. And
he's probably going to have a breakout season.
LSU wanted to make him a linebacker. Ed Orgeron wanted him as a linebacker. Like, you can linebacker these, you know what? Like, dude, you got probably the best running back in the state labeled a 3-star. Here's another thing. Now you're getting me now we're going on a tangent. The recruiting services, the guy that's the lead scout for both of the recruiting services, I've talked to both of them. They haven't been in the state to watch one game. Yeah. Not one. That's the part. Hey, by the way, you know Tennessee's guy, they have 3. One lives in Collierville. I'm not making this up. One lives in Nashville, and the other lives in Knoxville. They literally have done a triangle.
Yep.
With all due respect to Tennessee, in Tennessee, why aren't you doing that in a state like Louisiana? Why aren't you doing that in states that produce things like that?
Rich.
Why are you doing that in Montana? What do you need a recruiting scout for in Montana? I mean, look, last time I checked, this isn't Yellowstone, Big Daddy. You don't need to go up to Montana and do that. So those are kinds of things for me. When you have 11 players that are going to the NFL from your state, Landon Ibieta is the poster boy for this class. Let's watch and see how this pans out. So if Landon Ibieta comes out and pans out, then what?
Yeah, and to that point, Blake,
Jack
Pesh. Guys, that guy was going to Vanderbilt.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to your point, Blake, the guys that you did get, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the last, I think it's 3 or 4 recruiting classes, 28 of them have gone and left the program.
Correct. And look, I see Carter Bryant, shout out to the Power Hour. He talked about Osiris Torrance that was at ULL, then went to Florida. You missed out on him, but let me make this statement. That kid is literally, I'm not joking. You could go 7 miles down the road, and that's where he played from where I'm currently at. Okay. Yep. He went up 1-on-1 against a guy by the name of Ismail Sopsher, who was a 5-star top 15 guy, and look, dominated him for 4 quarters. Mm-hmm. Ismail made 1 play in the first quarter and then physically got dominated for the rest of them. Why is that kid a 3-star? Can someone, like, I used to get in these battles with, and Billy Embody, we had a spirited debate about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, buddy, you weren't at the game. You didn't see what I see. The only ones that were there were Scarborough, Spiegelman, and somebody else. And I'm like, are y'all watching what I'm watching? Because whoever number 76 is, or whatever his number was, he's eating this guy's lunch. So much so Ishmael didn't come out in the second quarter. He didn't play.
And
I'm
where's
like,
Ishmael now?
He's transferring from USC.
For like the second time in the second transfer?
This is his second one. So, like, I've seen these kids do that. Here's another one. Hutch Gonzalez at Mandeville, one of my great friends. I love Hutch to death. He's going to go to bat for his players. He kept always talking to me about this kid named Landon Ibieta. I had no idea who Landon Ibieta was. So go to a practice, go to a game, whatever, and he points out Landon Ibieta. He's 6 foot, wink. Okay. He's 185 pounds, wink. And he goes, that's the best player on the field tonight. They were playing Ponchatoula. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He had 10 catches, 156 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he physically dominated that entire game. What did I need to see from that kid? I saw what I needed to see. It's like I should have got out my legal pad, and after the second touchdown and the start of the third quarter, I should have closed it and sort of said, that's a wrap. That kid's getting an offer from LSU. What else did you need to see? But because they thought he didn't have a good 40 time, they didn't offer him. By the way, he ran a 4.47 electronic time. So, I mean, look, I get on these tangents. I start getting on these tangents. That's why we have to do the rants. It's a part of my piece and I probably have some kind of illness right now, like mentally, and I just start rambling. I can't stop. See, I can't stop now. My brain's saying, Blake, shut up. I can't stop.
And the point you made, I mean, you said, you pointed out they're playing Ponchatoula.
Oh, yeah.
And he got 10 catches. You said 156 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. And
at least 5-star safety.
At least that's what
with a 5-star safety on Ponchatoula.
Correct. And look, and that's probably some liberal stats. I mean, I'm just charting it down. Like, hey, we're at the 40. He caught, now we're at the 20. He just caught a pass, hey, that's 20 yards. I mean, I might be off by 10 yards or whatever, but I'm not. I mean, look, math is not my strong suit, but what is my strong suit is, hey, he just caught a pass for another touchdown. Yeah. Why did that happen?
All right, guys, we are at 1 hour and 22 minutes. We're supposed to be an hour, but that's okay. We enjoy.
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, you're going to have to kick the host off. Look, after the third question, you should have been like, hey, Blake, look, it's good having you, man. We'll talk to you soon. See, you're going to learn that quick. Like, hey, Blake, look, we love you, but God, dog, you talk too damn much.
No, we loved having you on, man. We really appreciate you coming on, Blake. It means a lot. We appreciate all your support and your push for us.
Oh, no problem.
Zach, I think maybe you've learned your lesson. Next time you're going to have to face the camera because I'm reading plenty of comments about you needing to face the camera. They're making plenty of Zach Efron jokes and whatnot. So, anyways,
look, let me tell you this very quickly. I know we're going a little long.
No,
you're going to learn a lot of things are going to be like, you're going to learn a lot. Like, dude, my camera used to be right here in front of my face, and I'm like, yeah, you little sucker, and like all this kind of stuff, and it was never good. So you learn with the trade craft.
I think we just lost Zach, by the way.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what happened there, but he's the one who's supposed to play the outro.
I don't know if you have the admin.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. I was about to say, I was about to have to end y'all's stream for you. It's the top right button that says, end. Trust me. I've gone episodes where I had a. Let me tell you something. Zach Pearson won't mind me saying, we went long, and I thought that we hit stop.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, and me and Zach are talking. I'm like, and Alex Milazzo was at the plate. It was during a game. We were live streaming the game, and Milazzo strikes out. And I'm like, that stupid son of a gun. Stop swinging at that. And me and Zach are going at it, right? Like, we're going at it. We're yelling at the screen. We're like, yeah, this son of a, like going at it. My phone is blowing up. But I always phone's blowing up. We're like, bro, can this kid just get an idea? So Zach's wife texts him. My wife is texting me. Shut the hell up. Y'all are still on live. And like 500 people in there, and I'm like, I look at Zach and look at one another.
Oh no!
Bye. So listen,
Yikes.
don't say a word when you get off the show until you know it's done. That's how bad
It's
it is.
over.
Gotcha.
It's over.
Well, we appreciate everybody coming in, joining in. Blake, especially, we really appreciate you joining in and helping out and giving your input on the press conference.
Yeah,
I'm
guys,
super
anytime.
excited about BK. Look, we're going to be back at it again on Monday following probably Blake's show at 9 p.m. So if you want to come join in, comment, come do so. Appreciate y'all joining in. Hey, go follow all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Go subscribe to us on YouTube, all at Tigers Avenue. Go check out our website, tigersavenue.podbean.com. You can scroll through and see all of our past episodes. You can click on the little special button up top and click Tiger Times and see all the fun times. Reagan and Zach went and saw LSU games. And you can go check out 5-Star Hero stuff on there as well. And, of course, our support page, too. Don't forget to go look at 5-Star. All his music is on the major platforms. His merchandise is on his Facebook page, 5-Star Hero. They ain't ready for that. LSU, our intro and outro for the Tigers Avenue show. Hey, we'll catch you next time in the Tigers Avenue. 5-Star, take us out. Peace.
Who that 5-star? Who that 5-star? Who that 5-star? And the LSU Tigers.